Hello fellow guitar geeks! A few of you have asked me, how do you reamp with the Katana? And a few of you may not know that you can reamp with the Katana. And a few more of you might not know what reamping is and why it's useful. So in this video, I'm going to cover all the reamping stuff that I can with the Katana to show you the power and the value that you've got in your amp. Now, before we go into how to do it, let's define what reamping is. Reamping is to do with recording your guitar into your computer cleanly. So, if you record with your Katana, I'm using the Head Mark II just up there, over the USB cable, we think of recording the guitar sound. So you choose a channel, a patch, some effects, and then you record that onto your DAW. The problem there being is that if later on you really enjoyed that performance, or that was the only time that you nailed that performance, but the sound doesn't quite work for your mix, or you just want to go in and mess around with the sound, you can't, because the sounds that you've recorded from the Katana are hard printed. It's on that sound and you can't remove it. If you record a separate DI signal, however, you record the sound coming directly out of the guitar, as if you were plugging your guitar directly in to the audio interface. And you can do that with the Katana. The benefit of doing this is that when you record that DI, you can then later send that back to the Katana, change the effects, change the channel, change the amp, change the amount of gain, change anything, and then re-record it as if you had played that guitar part again. So you see what I mean? If you nail the performance, but you don't like the sound, and you've recorded the DI, you can go back to the beginning and get the computer to play back your performance through the Katana, re-record it with a different sound. And the way to do it is actually really simple. At the back of the user manual of the Katana, there is a block diagram. And this block diagram is probably ignored by a lot of you, but I love geeky stuff, so I go and check things out like this, and I recommend that you always do. This is your signal path. Your guitar goes into the input, it goes through all that stuff, through the master, through the power amp, and out of the speaker. However, in between the input and the speaker is loads of stuff, and you might notice that just after the input, it says USB secondary, Windows, or input output 3 and 4, Mac. I'm using Mac, but the same theory applies to Windows and any DAW, so hopefully you can follow the video. Also, later on, there's another USB just further down the signal path, primary for Windows, and input 1 and 2 or stereo out for Mac. This USB signal is after all the processing, after the preamp, after the foot volume, after the send return, after the effects. So anything that's recorded via this USB signal will be hard printed with effects and amps. The trick here is to set up 2 channels in your DAW and record from both USB devices at the same time. I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to be using Logic on my Mac. That's my main DAW of choice. However, if you're using Studio One or Cubase or GarageBand or any other of the DAWs available, the theory and the process is the same. It just means that things are hidden in different places and different menus. So I'll try and be as general as I can when I'm talking about what to do. So the first thing you need to do is to start an empty project or a new project. And now we have an option of choosing what that project is going to record. But before we record, we're going to go to your system preferences or settings and go to the audio. And this audio is currently, my output device and my input device is currently my audio interface, my Zen Tour from Antelope Audio. I want to change that to my Katana. Right, apply. So now Logic is recording from the Katana and it's going to play back through the Katana. That's really important. So whatever your DAW asks to do that, you have to select the input as Katana and the output. Now, I'm going to create a track and I'm going to create a stereo track. 2 stereo tracks, in fact. There's audio 1. This is stereo coming in from input 1 and 2. If we look back at that block diagram, input 1 and 2 is after all the effects and after the preamp, so it's going to do the hard printing of the effects of the Katana. Let's call that Katana with effects. Now, if I recorded that, I would only get the affected signal. I'll show you. Now, if I try and play that back, you're going to hear zilch, nothing, because my output device is the Katana. And if we take a look at that block diagram again, it says no signal from the USB will be output from the speaker. That's a problem because I can't hear it, but for the purpose of this video, I don't need to hear it. I wonder if you can hear it through the headphones. Let's have a look. It does. So if you're mixing and stuff and you have some headphones, then you'll be fine. But we don't need to hear that. That's not necessary for what we're doing right now. As I've said, that is not a clean guitar signal. That's the recording from the Katana with the settings that it had at the time of recording. So I don't record like that. I always record 2 tracks at the same time. So let's mute that. Let's duplicate that track, and I'm going to call this FX2. So that's saved there just so we have it, but we're not going to use it anymore. Then I'm going to add a second track, input 3 and 4. And if you look back at that block diagram, that means that this is coming from the USB secondary from Windows or the input output 3 and 4 for Mac. So if you're using Windows, then you have to select secondary audio device Katana. And we're going to call that Katana DI. Right, so now if I record enable both of these, I should be able to record a part again and get 2 recordings from 1 performance. Right, now you'll see there are 2 wave files just been recorded and they look different. One is definitely louder than the other, and that's good. This bottom one is the DI. So that one is the recorded patch. So that is forever hard-coded and hard-printed, sorry, and we cannot change that, just like the first recording I did. With this DI, however, we can change that. And we do that by going into your mixer settings of your DAW. So this is my Logic mixer, and you can see here the inputs, and you see here the outputs. If you felt a little bit lost at all in this video, then let's bring up the block diagram and take a look at that, which should help clarify things. Okay, right. Here is input 3 and 4, or the secondary, if you're on Windows. That was our DI signal. So I recorded from that clean guitar. It's directly after the input, so it's as if I've plugged my guitar directly into the computer. I also recorded input 1 and 2, which is after all the effects, after the preamp, everything. That was affected by the Katana. So that's input 1 and 2, or primary on Windows. Now what I want to do is send that DI signal back through the Katana and record the result. And it's super simple to do. I'll show you how. Again, back to the block diagram, we want to send that DI signal back through the front of the amp. So all we do is send it to output 3 and 4, and it's almost as if the guitar was playing. So firstly, make sure your guitar is either turned down or even better, unplugged from the amp. So now there is no real guitar going into the front of the amp, nothing is plugged in. Let's go back to Logic, and there's my DI channel there. So that's the DI track. This is my output. I want to send that to output 3 and 4. And now that means it's going to come in to the front of the Katana. I then need to record that. So I need to add another new track, and this one is input 1 and 2, because if we look back at that block diagram, that means we're going to record from here, which is after all the effects. So create that, and we're going to call that Katana Reamped. Done. And we don't need to record on the DI, so we're going to disable that. And then we need to record enable that. Now all I need to do is press record, and that'll send the signal from the DI track over the USB cable to the Katana, through all that processing, back down the USB cable to this new track, Katana Reamped. So press record. And you'll see that that track is being made. Pretty useless because we already recorded that. But what if I go into Tone Studio and change the settings on the amp? So that patch we were using was Geeky H Rock, Geeky Hard Rock. I could change that to 𝗚𝗘𝗏 for something that's completely different. So now if I go back to Logic, I'm going to delete that reamped track. Yes, go back, press record. Now it's going to send the signal through the Katana again, but on a different setting. So the sound is going to be different. Cool. And also, if I wanted to, I could affect that in real time. Let's press record again and mess around in Tone Studio. And that's it. That's how you reamp using only the Katana. And if you ever record with the Katana, I would always recommend you record that clean DI, that output 3 and 4, or the secondary output. There's no reason not to, and if you never use it, you just never use it. But if you need to use it, it's there and you can fiddle around with it. You can come back to this video just in case you forget how to do it. I hope you found that useful. So if you have any questions about different DAWs or different platforms, then please put the question in the comments section. And if you read the comments section, maybe you can help each other out, because I definitely won't be able to answer every DAW possibility. But maybe you could help each other, or post this in one of the Facebook or Reddit groups and help each other that way. Thank you so much for watching. You've reached the end of the video, which means you are a member of the End of the Video Club, and to prove that you are a member of this prestigious elite, when you leave your comment down below, also include the phrase, "Man, that's geeky." And that'll let me know that you saw this part, and it's a bit of fun, and YouTube will thank me analytically. Okay, that's it from me. I'm going to actually go and make some music now, and I recommend that you do the same. There are videos on the screen if you do want to go and watch those before you make music. Otherwise, click subscribe, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.